The best from TicWatch has now a Ultra version. TicWatch Pro 3 with Wear OS is back stronger than ever, but is this the right step forward? Let's inspect. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Really nice to meet you here. My name is Michael, and what we do here is inspect fresh, cool tech. Believe it or not, it's been almost a year since the release of this smartwatch. This is the original TicWatch Pro 3, and some spam from the watch face. Kind of annoying. Well, never mind. I think this was released in probably November 2020. And right now being kind of October 2021, welcome here if you're coming from the future. And it's really interesting to see if today's tech, well, for you, that should be yesterday's tech. And how does it feel? Now, given the fact it's 2021, maybe you can comment below how this review feel from the distance of time. Now, it's a really interesting time for Wear OS because Samsung have released their Galaxy Watch 4 a few weeks ago, and you can see the full review linked somewhere here. So the Galaxy Watch 4 back to Wear OS with very interesting take on the operating system and entirely revamped user interface. So I guess if we compare both watches and walk you through the interfaces, they would feel entirely different devices. And I think right now it's a pretty good moment to buy a Wear OS watch, especially some of the latest releases, because we've got a Galaxy Watch 4, we've got a TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra, a really weird name, and the Fossil Gen 6, which are kind of forming some of the best mainstream trio in Wear OS ever existed. I'm gonna start with the most important, the price. It's good, it's $300. This is only $50 more than the first generation of TicWatch Pro, and given the fact it's post-pandemic times with all the negative consequences, it has a lot more powerful hardware, way better software and so much better design. Hats down to Mobvoi for not going crazy about pricing when they add the word Ultra. Definitely not cheap, but it can do a lot more than Huawei Watch 3 series, is much smarter than Amazfit's competitors, and can even act as a good enduro alternative if you play it smart with the workout settings. Unboxing is, as usual, causing some smiles because Mobvoi, they've always been good about product presentations. So this one here is likable. You can immediately see the watch. It's a step away from the design of the predecessors. This is a surprise, to me at least, and a welcomed one since I like the new look. The glass is now leveled with the bezel, so there's no awkward feeling when you look at it from the side. Mobvoi keep the concept of using two side buttons. For a moment I thought it might be a crown like the Huawei Watch 3, but it's not. The display seems to keep a similar shape and size. The bottom side, this is the area which is in contact with your wrist. It's about the same as the predecessor, bunch of sensors. Let me reveal what they are together with the rest of the specs. So, the display, 1.4 inches dual display setup, featuring a colorful AMOLED and FSTN. Snapdragon 4100 system on a chip, 1GB RAM, 8GB storage, a big number of health tracking sensors, 577 mAh battery, GPS, NFC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5, IP68 certification, military-grade standard, weight of 41 grams. Now, concerning the hardware, the information I managed to squeeze about the processor, there are Snapdragon 4100 and 4100 Plus, with the latter one allowing low energy mode for running always-on display for most brands, and according to some benchmarks, it might be the more power-friendlier solution. Mobvoi claim that they use a modified 4100, which can still benefit from this feature, and also is slightly overclocked up to 2 GHz for smoother experience. So far, this watch sounds like a fantastic hardware pack because it features some of the best technologies in the end of 2021, and definitely we expect nothing but great performance. And also a lot of innovations like this dual layer display. Right now you're seeing the AMOLED portion. Now, I shut it off and it switches. Come on, switches to the FSTN display, where the more light the display gets, the better visible it is, and of course it has backlight. The funny part, you can now customize the backlight color. Now you can make blue, green, teal, whatever you like. Pink, also supported. But this time the focus is not really about the display or the hardware. This time the focus is mostly about everything that Mobvoi managed to extract out of all the sensors. Among them, there are the HR PPG monitor, SpO2 tracker, low latency off-body sensor, and the usual gyroscope and accelerometer. A comeback makes the compass, and there also is a barometer. Together with that, speaker and microphone to guarantee flawless phone calls and also music playback. So I'm really eager to share with you how this mixture has been performing. The way you control the watch is pretty straightforward. The upper hardware button is the app launcher and also the home button. Press and hold and you're going to access Google Assistant. The other button is configurable. I have it set to tick exercise, which is essentially a shortcut to the workouts. Swiping gestures are used to do the rest. Swipe up and it's going to open the notifications. Really easy to handle them. It is of course possible to respond to notifications. Pretty good that the speech-to-text engine is getting better and significantly faster. Emojis are of course supported too. You can swipe left to access to the main cards and of course customize them. Tick health, sleep tracking, weather tile and so on. One of the obvious drawbacks is the inability of Wear OS to be highly customizable. I'll give you an example. We're scrolling through the tiles and here for instance the weather forecast which is showing 67 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm based myself in Europe, so I would have preferred to see Celsius. This thing inherits the settings from the smartphone, however there is no option to configure it on the watch level, which is a bit of an annoyance, and that's on the Wear OS side. The other thing I tend to miss is the recent apps button, which was implemented by Galaxy Watch 4, which probably I didn't really appreciate. Well, I was testing the Galaxy Watch 4, but now I tend to miss, and looks like I've used it long enough to figure out now I'm actually missing it. Other than that, the performance of the software and the hardware both is really a pleasure to use. And actually it's a lot snappier than the previous TicWatch Pro series, a lot snappier even than the Galaxy Watch 4. This is mostly possible thanks to the really capable system on a chip. The default app list is not too long, there isn't really any bloatware, just the essential Wear OS apps like calculator, timers, stopwatch and similar, and the Tick Health ecosystem. As mentioned already, Mobvoi are very serious about getting the most out of their sensors and provide you with unique health tracking experience. There are the usual sleep tracking, step counter, SpO2 tracker which works 24/7 and similar, things that you measure and review using the Tick Sleep, Tick Health and Tick Oxygen respectively. But now there are two extra features, mental fatigue and energy level health. This is important because shows Mobvoi's orientation towards long-term health tracking and they've scientifically approached this analysis. Whether they are really good, only time can show. I could share what the last couple of weeks have been like. Step tracking is being overcounted. While testing the TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra, I've had on my right hand the Mi Band 6 NFC, which I know for sure is extremely accurate about step tracking, because I've tested it myself, counting parallelly with it for a few thousand steps. So the latest TicWatch member counts, in some situations, values that are between 15 and 35% higher than the real ones. It's not tricked by driving or scooter riding at least, but even like that, I believe it has to be fixed and updated. Heart rate tracking is on the other hand much better and it detects spikes very quickly. However, sometimes with intensive trainings, measured values are around 20 beats per minute higher than the reality. I did compare the watch to the Polar Chest HR tracker, and while accuracy is not perfect, responsiveness is clearly good and I have high expectations from the coming updates. SpO2 tracking is there, I can't comment about the accuracy, guess the values are fine, detects a little less than what an original oximeter would. The other component which is somewhat inaccurate is sleep tracking. TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra was unable to correctly identify when I wake up and has officially stopped the sleep tracking once I physically got up from the bed. Also, if your battery goes down during sleep time, and this will trigger the watch switching to the battery-friendly Essential mode, sleep tracking is also terminated. But if Essential mode is already on before you fall asleep, it's gonna be fine. So, while health tracking features are quite many, I think there's more work to be done on the firmware level. Looking at the smartphone app now, since it's been upgraded as well and is having a much better design. So sleek and so feature-rich, you can well explore all the information that has been tracked by the watch. Each workout is being recorded, and you can see those that are automatically detected or manually triggered. One more remark, the watch has always been detecting running instead of walking. Let's see if the next round of updates is going to fix this workout detection. But finally, Mobvoi have reached a point where the smartphone app is functional, well organized and feature-rich. easy to link with third-party services like Strava and Google Fit, and to do some extra maintenance to the watch. However, not yet possible to easily transfer photos and audio files as it is with the Samsung Wear app. I have to admit that I miss this feature. If you wonder about the speaker quality, here's a sample. The battery life is probably the best news over here because it's been solid and consistent. And almost every cycle I was able to squeeze between 2 to 3 days per charge. And that's really remarkable. If somebody told me 2 years ago that out of Wear OS device I would be able to squeeze more than a day and a half, I was about to say, wow, that's impossible. But it's already a reality here, and that's mostly thanks to the FSTN display because I use this one as the always-on display option. And everything else was on. Sleep tracking, HR tracking, step counter, occasional sports with GPS on, the mental health, the heart health, and all these new features that Mobvoi have brought in the smartphone app, they were on, and the battery life was still good. Just for comparison, the Galaxy Watch 4 with similar kind of usage, yes, I was measuring the blood pressure probably twice per day, but it was lasting barely 20 hours. So that's not really good. Other than that, I feel like the build quality is finally up to par with the expectation, because with the previous generation I've seen a lot of Reddit posts complaining about the waterproofness and getting actually their smartwatches damaged. So this is finally supposed to be gone, military grade standards adopted, and finally true IP68 waterproofness. And on their website Mobvoi actually advertise it is really good for swimming. I still haven't tested it in a warm or hot bath, but I hope it's gonna be fine. Well, I think in the last minutes we were able to highlight most of the good and the weak sides of TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra. If I may summarize all the negatives in just one short list, I'll definitely start with the steps counter and double check the latest updates of the watch, because this may have been well fixed already. The lack of some customizations on Wear OS, no blood pressure monitor, the lack of easy file transfer from and to the watch, the usage of Wear OS 2.0 at the launch. I was really hoping to see the third generation, but given all the good specs, the fantastic performance, the nice design and the overall feature pack, this continues to be not only a great deal at this price, it continues to be one of the best choices for getting a truly smart watch, which, when needed, may turn into a fitness tracker and have its battery lasting up to 30 days. At the end, after covering all of that, and of course quickly reminding you to subscribe to the channel and support me in any form that you wish and want, liking, subscribing, sharing the video with friends, because, let's be honest, tough times, one of the few ways not so big channels like mine can survive is really to show me your support and appreciation for all the work that we do here. But that putting on aside, I have 2 questions for you. Question number 1, what do you guys and girls think about the new TicWatch device? And question number 2, which probably is not only for you but also for the people from Mobvoi, why didn't they simply call it TicWatch Ultra? Really interesting. Thank you very much for staying with me until the end. Stay fresh. I'll be back very soon with more cool tech inspections. Michael here, and wish you a fantastic day. Bye.